Hello, you wonderful human beings. For me and my croaky voice, I really held out as long as I could to record this video. It's going live tomorrow. I was hoping that my voice would come back. It has not. So I hope that you're okay with me talking like this. I'm going to try and talk as gently as possible and just like give my voice an opportunity to rest, but also I want to show up on YouTube. I haven't missed an upload in a very long time. So today I'm going to be doing a video which is all about things I've changed my mind about. I saw this video done by Jen and Carly. I'll leave them both below, and I really enjoyed watching both their videos, so definitely go and check them out. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to film my own version of it. So here are some things that I personally have changed my mind about. My first one is about confrontation. I used to think that confrontation was a negative thing. I was really adverse to confrontation. I would do almost anything to avoid it because I just found it to be a really intimidating and scary experience. Having a confrontation with somebody would just get my adrenaline pumping. I just couldn't really cope with it very well. I'm not saying that I've become a confrontational person. In fact, I'm very much not argumentative and I'm not confrontational in that sense. But now if somebody says something to me which I perceive as being perhaps offensive, or something which I don't think they should have said, or something which I think we should enter a discussion into, I will enter that discussion. Or another example would be if I'm getting some weird energy from somebody in my life, whether that's friends or family or aunt, or just something doesn't feel right, I used to just kind of sit back and let that feeling, I don't know, fester. Whereas now I will just say, okay, there's no point of me just letting this situation fester as it is. If there's some weird energy going on here, the best thing that I can do is just call them up and have a conversation. I love a phone call, I love a face-to-face meeting, I love just having a chat about things which need to be talked about, because I think just sitting in that energy that feels uncomfortable is not really helping anyone. So I'd rather just strike up the conversation, and yeah, it might be a bit awkward, yeah, it might be a bit difficult, but I think actually you'll come out the other side, hopefully in a better position than you were before the conversation. I don't know whether confrontational is the right word, but I just think that I'm somebody who's much more confident going into conversations which aren't so comfortable. I'm happy to have uncomfortable conversations basically, and that's something which has really, really changed for me. The second thing I've changed my mind about is multitasking. I used to think that being able to multitask was like a superpower and something which I was really proud that I could do. But now I actually think that my attention is so much more valuable when it's focused on one thing, and I am so much more productive when I focus my energy and my attention and my concentration into one specific task at a time and release all distractions, or as many distractions as I physically can. And I think that has been a massive shift for me in terms of my approach to work over the course of the years. I used to kind of be a little bit, well, I've never been fully scatterbrained. You guys know me, I'm very organised, but I used to be a little bit more like hopping around between things, whereas now I just go, okay, task number one, bish, bash, bosh, done, move on. Task number two, bish, bash, bosh, done, move on. I don't hop between tasks, I focus on one task. And I feel like that has been something which I've definitely changed my mind about, and it's definitely impacted how I work in my day-to-day life. I'm not going to spend too long on this one, but the third thing that I've changed my mind about is the fact that I don't have to label my diet. I spent so many years labeling my diet, and now I live label-free, and it feels so good. I used to think that I had to fit in a box in so many ways, not even just my diet, my lifestyle, the way that I trained, everything. I used to put myself in a box. I used to almost enjoy having a label attached to myself, but I'm just so glad now that I have detached myself from those labels and I live my life in a way that feels good, and I don't try and fit myself into a particular box, because I'm a human being. I'm multidimensional. There's so many aspects to me and I don't perfectly fit into a box, and that's cool. I've done a whole video on my diet journey, so I'll leave that link down below if you want to know more about that particular point. This next one is a big one. I have changed my mind about the fact that I don't have to date somebody taller than me. I probably spent my whole life until I was, I don't know, 21, 22, thinking I can only date people who are taller than me. I'm 6'2", 188 centimeters. That's really tall. So I was definitely limiting my pool of potential partners because not many people are taller than me. And I think it was just societal norms that told me that I needed to believe that, and therefore I just bought into that principle of you can only date people that are taller than you if you're a woman, for example. And I did that for a very, very long time. And then I met Ant, and Ant is a lot shorter than me. And Ant is amazing, and I realised that compatibility is not dictated by your height, and why would I waste my life ruling out so many people that could make me so happy just because they're not as tall as me? And I knew that Ant was the person that I wanted to be with, that I needed to be with, that was the right person for me. And his height did not fit into my criteria for what I wanted in a partner, but actually everything else did. So his height did not impact how well we got on. His height did not impact his personality. His height did not impact our compatibility, as I said. So it's definitely been something which I've changed my mind about. I just don't believe that I have to be with somebody who's taller than me. As you can tell, I've been with Ant for almost 7 years now, and I'm very, very happy. Another thing that I used to believe, well, this has been something which I've gone through so many different belief cycles with, has been around marriage and children. Again, I don't want to go too far into this because I've spoken about this in so many videos and articles and newsletters and even podcasts. I've done a lot of content about this subject, but basically, in a nutshell, I'm somebody who went from never questioning societal norms and thinking, of course I want to get married and have 2.4 kids or whatever the average is. And then I came into my 20s, I realised, no, I don't want those things. I went through maybe 5 years of thinking no marriage, no kids. And then now, as I approach my 30th birthday, in a matter of days, I'm in a position where I actually think I'm open to marriage, I'm open to potentially starting a family, I'm open to all these things which I spent so long not being open to. But it's been an interesting process, an interesting journey for me, going through those different belief cycles, making myself read 1,000,001 books and listen to every single podcast about different life choices and finding the one which I felt was the right for me. And I'm so glad that I spent so much time really sitting with my thoughts, really sitting with my beliefs and my values and working out what's right for me, because I think, I've said this before, so many people just go into big life decisions without even thinking about it. And I am so, so, so glad that I sat down and I really blooming thought about it. So I know that I am making choices which I feel are choices that I am going to be happy with, hopefully, in the long term. This is a bit of a funny one, but I've changed my mind about my parents. I think when I was a teenager, I just thought my parents were the most annoying human beings in the world. Doesn't every single teenager just clash with their parents? Especially me and my mum, we clashed on a massive, massive, massive scale. And I'm just so grateful that as I've got older, me and mum have become so close and we have such a great bond, and I'm no longer that annoying, moody teenager, and we've actually gone from being mother and daughter to friends as well as having that blood connection, having that friendship connection. And I'm just so grateful that my mindset has shifted towards my parents, because I think when you're in the depths of your teenage, moody years, you just think, get me away from these annoying human beings who have in fact actually raised me and done everything for me, but I'm going to ignore that because I'm a moody teenager. And I'm just so grateful that I have become close to them, and I've really realised the value of family and really realised how important that is in the long term, and how important those connections, those bonds, and that support system is as you come into adulthood. So I'm really grateful that I've changed my mind about that. I've also changed my mind about where I want to live. When I was growing up, I was raised in East Yorkshire, in between York and Hull, near the towns of Pocklington and Beverley and that sort of area, if you're from East Yorkshire. When I was up there and living up there, I said to my parents, I'm never, ever gonna move to London. I'm never gonna move to London. What a disgusting city. Oh my goodness, I could never be a city girl. I'm a country girl at heart. And then I moved to London. And I loved it. I lived there for 7 years, over 7 years, and I adored every second. I love that city in my bones. I love that city. And then now I've moved to the country, and I'm so grateful that I'm back out in the outdoors. And I'm saying to myself, I don't think I could live in Yorkshire again. When I spent probably the first 21 years of my life saying I want to live in Yorkshire for the rest of my life, and now I live down in Surrey, I'm like, I don't think I could go back to Yorkshire. I think I always need to be down south and need to be somewhere near London. So yeah, it kind of feels like my whole perception on where I want to live has shifted massively, and it's definitely made me realise that the choices that we think we're going to make and the things that we think we want for our life can evolve so rapidly as our life changes and evolves. So while right now I'm saying, oh yeah, I want to stay in Surrey, I want to stay in this area, I love it here, who knows? In 5 years I might completely change my mind again. And I'm totally cool with that, I'm just going to stay open to it. And last but not least, the final thing, I mean there's many more things that I've changed my mind about, but the last thing that I want to mention in this video is my attitudes towards friendships and people pleasing and that sort of stuff. Ultimately, I used to be the biggest people pleaser, like the ultimate people pleaser, the queen of people pleasing. I just wanted everybody to like me, and it broke my heart when people didn't, especially when I was at school and university. I'd say mostly school, maybe the first year of university, it really, really impacted me. Then a shift happened in my second year of uni and I really started to focus on myself and focus on, do I like myself? Yes, that's the most important thing. I will find my people. These just are my people. And I've just come to accept as I come into adulthood that not everybody's going to like you. You're not going to click with everyone. You're not going to meet every single person and become their best friend and be like, let's stay friends for life. Because I'm somebody who, as you know, I love to meet new people. I love to connect with new people. But I've also accepted that I meet a lot of people in my job. I meet a lot of people through my work, through friends of friends, just through my life. And as much as I love to get to know new people, I love to connect with new people, I definitely accept the fact that, as I said, we won't always click, we won't always be the best of best buds. We might just think each other's all right. We don't have to like actively think each other is great. And that's okay, because there's so many billions of humans on this planet. We're not all gonna get on. We're not all gonna be singing each other's praises. We can just happily coexist. We don't all have to be like super close friends, if that makes sense. And I definitely spent a long time trying to be friends with everybody that I ever met, and would almost feel like it was my fault if we didn't become friends after I'd met somebody because I'd done something wrong, or they just didn't like me because there's something wrong with me. Especially, as I said, in my school years, that was like a big insecurity of mine. But I just feel like as I have come into this phase of my life, especially my 20s, my late 20s, as I approach my 30s, I just know that the people who are meant to be in my life will be in my life. Friendships come and go, friendships evolve in and out, friendships ebb and flow. And that's something that I've definitely changed my mind about. I used to think that if I drifted away from somebody, well, that's that. See ya, guess we're just not friends anymore. But I just think that life goes in cycles, and there'll be phases of you becoming closer with people, then drifting due to circumstances, coming back again. Like friendships, as I said, they just evolve and grow over time. And as long as you stay open to the friendships that are in your life and bringing new friendships into your life, you're going to be in a good place. I tell you what, it just feels so liberating to not be a people pleaser, to not put so much of my self-worth in other people's hands, to dictate and decide my own self-worth, and to welcome people into my life who I do click with and release people that I don't click with. And that feels bloody great. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know down below in the comments if there's something that you've changed your mind about. I would love to hear that. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. Please head down below, give me a little subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.